views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola everyone, welcome to Open Hybrid. We are coming to you once again from Cherry Executive Suite. I'm Rhina Valenti, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll speak to women's empowerment coach and author of Grants Made Easy, Andrea Amador, as she shares rising above adversity of the pandemic through government grant assistance. Then we'll be joined by Notes in Motion's artistic and executive director, Amanda Selwyn, to discuss the impact dance education programs brings to disenfranchised New York City students. After that, we'll speak to vegan chef and nutrition coach Kristen Loudermilk as she shares healthy vegan recipes to consider for this 4th of July weekend. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up to date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight shines on Grammy Award-Winning trumpeter and composer Michael Rodriguez with a performance at the end of the show. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome to Open Hybrid. I'm Rhina Valenti, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour, coming to you back once again from Cherry Executive Suite. Inviting you to get social with us online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, follow moi on FB, Twitter, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valenti. So our first guest is a published author and women's empowerment coach, giving women tools to rise above adversity and depression. Ever since the pandemic, she's been teaching people how to rise above adversity by using government grants to obtain rent relief, debt assistance, help with utilities, free internet, and tons of no to low cost services. And she's here to share more. Please welcome women's empowerment coach and author of Loving the Skin and You're In, That You're In, Andrea Amador. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Rhina. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm excited.
So I did complete the introduction with the Grants Made Easy because I know that's what we're really here to talk about. But yes. I didn't mention the name of your books because, the last time we had you on, I think you had formed a program from your book, which was back like in 2017?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
And a lot has changed since then, right?
A lot has changed.
And so having gone through the background of how you even formed Grants Made Easy, would you mind sharing with our audience the hardship that you had to endure during that?
Well, I'm a warrior. I'm a survivor.
That's what's up.
I'm an abuse survivor. And I think that after getting over feeling like a victim, that strength is the core of what has given me the ability and the will and the whatever it is to fight, to keep on, pushing in the face of adversity, in the face of rejection, saying no, all of that makes me even more determined to get whatever it is that I need.
Right. And so that's the psychological aspect of it that you're addressing. Yeah. When you and I get together, we always go there, right? Because we recognize the victimization behavior, right? And basically we recognize it. I think we all go through it at some point and going, oh, woe is me. And then at some point it's like, wake up, you can't remain in that state of complacency, which obviously we were all being pushed, right? But it
Yes.
seems to me that you were pushed to an extreme where your well was quite dried out.
Wow. Yes. In 2020, I lost almost all my clients. And my husband and I went from a two-income family to a one-income family overnight. And we were so lucky in that the New York State moratorium on evictions was, at a place where it was being held for over a year. But what happened was that the rent arrears kept piling up and up and up. And like the weekend of Thanksgiving, 2020, we got served with the demand notice. And deciding to fight
In the height of
eviction.
the pandemic, no less.
Oh my hell yes. In the height of the pandemic, yes. And so to make a long story short, a friend recommended, she said, why don't you check out grants? And I'm a born researcher because I'm an author. So I went slamming into grants, learned as much as I could about it. I had gotten free legal service, free assistance, so many different services. The first grant that I got was for $1,800. That was from Catholic Charities, which is a national organization. Everybody needs to know about this. And basically, grants are basically given by the government to agencies, organizations, state agencies, local organizations, and it is for the purpose of helping people to pick them up, help them out so that we can move our economy, so we can circulate our economy. So this has been something that has been active for 40, 50 years, even more, and nobody knows about it. Why? Because it's not advertised. This is all paid by the government to the employees of these organizations. So when the attorney that I had gotten to help with the eviction, we had her, well, after my husband passed away, soon after I got the grants. Oh
my gosh, my condolences. Andrea, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got evicted after that.
Oh my gosh.
So, but the idea is that all of these services are available to people that they just don't know. If you go to justshelter.org, anywhere in the United States, you just do a statewide search and you find the local attorneys that can assist you either free or low cost. It does go on the basis of income. And because my husband was a senior citizen, there was no cost whatsoever. There is so much. 211.org, you can find out about so many grants that are available for internet, for utilities, for rent. I could go on forever.
I know, and we're not going to be able to shove it all into this one segment. But I mean, we can share as much as we possibly can because I know you're you're just naturally generous like that. You're like, yeah, look, I want you to have this.
I do. Yeah.
But I really want to talk about how you came to the conclusion as you're still picking yourself up, right? Because we kind of skimmed over your husband passing. Which that was in 2021.
April 21st, 2021.
Okay, those are interesting numbers. 2021. Just out of curiosity, did he pass from COVID?
No, he died of a heart attack while at the wheel working.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't stress enough how deeply sorry I am for your loss.
Thank you.
And I mean that with all my heart because, what's written is what you had to endure to overcome 2020. And yet you were still having all these landfalls piling on you up until 2021. And you're still kind of finding your way out of it. And I'm bringing this up just to say that your warrior spirit is fierce.
Yes. It is.
It's fierce. And not only that, the fact that you're able to find all these resources and now want to pass it forward, it's really remarkable. And so let's talk about Grants Made Easy and what this program looks like. Because now you've designed this program to assist people while, of course, assisting yourself in the process, because it's almost like holding hands on finding the way to the finish line.
Yes, yes. Well, credit has to go to the source where I learned all about grants. And that was, his name is Matthew Lesko. He's a 5-time New York Times bestseller, probably more than that. He's been working on helping people with grants for probably about 50 years. He is the hands down best source of information. And I started watching his videos. When somebody said, check out grants, I saw his video was the first. And I said, oh my gosh, I remember I used to purchase his books in the 90s on grants, and I knew nothing about them. And it was one of those things that just gathered dust in the shelf. But after watching his videos, I saw his compassion. I saw his love. I saw the generosity. The scale of his wisdom was unbelievable. I started to follow what it was he was saying. And then once I did, that's when I started getting these amazing grants. And he has a Facebook group. I joined the Facebook group. I took advantage because as a member, you get to ask as many questions, and he gives you these free reports with all this information. And at the end, after I started getting grants, I said, oh my gosh, Matthew, I'd love to interview you. I want to thank you. I want to raise you up to the stars. And so we did an interview, and in the interview, at some point, he says, you're so amazing at this. Why don't you start teaching it? People need to know about this. So he was the one. That's what I'm doing.
What's his name? Matthew
Lesko.
Well, you obviously think the world of him, and you shouted him out. Perhaps we'll have him on the show as well. But for the time being, in acknowledging him and passing it forward, which is really the topic at hand here, is that while you're in the midst of recovering and just redesigning, right? We'll call it redesigning.
I love that. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, based on circumstances, but needless to say, everything's a matter of interpretation and choice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you like to leave people with before we go?
I want to leave them with the awareness that there's help out there. And I understand that they're scared and they're angry of the situation that they're facing, and they're overwhelmed, but realize that there's so much help out there. And I want to offer my help to come join my Facebook group. It's Grants Made Easy with Andrea Amador. There is tons of free information there. I'm giving you the mini course. I'm doing a Zoom on July 10th, talking about how to set up Google Alerts so that you can get grants in your area.
That's wonderful. I'm just writing down your FB group because we do send people to your website. However, if your FB is where you're interacting and more active, they should certainly visit there. And we certainly thank you for being here with us and bringing our audience. And I, at the end of the day, I will send you my condolences once again, but I congratulate you. I congratulate you for landing on your feet.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Here's to having 9 lives, Andrea.
Yes, I love that.
All right, once again, you guys, thank you, Andrea Amador, who is once again the author of Loving the Skin That You're In, but she's also a women's empowerment coach. And now she has this group on Facebook called Grants Made Easy. So be sure to visit that on Facebook. And of course, you can always visit her at AndreaAmador.com. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about an acclaimed dance education program titled Notes in Motion. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Notes in Motion is an acclaimed dance education program that brings inclusive dance to thousands of underserved to pre-K to 12 students throughout the 5 boroughs. Their programs include a singular approach to arts education through a movement exchange method, combining technical dance instruction with creative skill building and collaborative learning, which in turn fosters self-discovery, risk-taking, and connection-making. And here now to share more is Notes in Motion's Artistic and Executive Director, Amanda Selwyn. Hello and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to have you on this early Friday morning, right before the 4th of July, I might add, right? So I want to say it's somewhat a day of celebration or a weekend of celebration.
For sure. And, with the school year ending, we have just wrapped up 70 programs in the city schools. So it's been weeks of culminating events and dance performances all over the city. So lots to celebrate.
Yeah, well, I would imagine so. It's almost like sliding into home base, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, you've been doing that for how long now? 22 years?
22 years. So I founded the company in 2000. We officially became an arts vendor of the New York City Department of Education in 2005. And since then have been providing dance programs to the schools.
So walk us through this history a little bit, right? So you gave us the logistics, and I'm curious to know, like, how did you find, I guess, your style, or what is it about the system that inspired you to even partner up with the DOE?
For sure. So my organization, Notes in Motion, is a 2-armed organization. So we have a professional dance company, Amanda Selwyn Dance Theater. We do modern dance and dance theater. So when I founded the company, I wanted to find a way to create my own choreographic performances and celebrate my work, but find ways to expand our audiences and find new ways of connecting with people through dance. As I founded the company, I personally was a dance and theater educator. I was teaching all over New York City. All the artists I was collaborating with, we were all wearing multiple hats. So it just seemed pretty natural to foster this education program. And I developed the methodology for the education program very much to mirror the way I work with my professional dancers. So I work in the studio with dancers, fostering their individual expression, working with the technical skills they have, but then thinking about how we respond to theatrical prompts. So that's where this movement exchange methodology came from. Early in the time when I started the company back in 2000, there was a lot of money in the New York City school system to bring professional artists into the schools. So I thought this is a wonderful bringing together. There's the resources out there, at the time there was, and there's professional artists all over the city. And then there's all these students who are lacking arts education. So it felt like a natural step to do. And we started building up our relationships with schools. And then when 2008 happens, a lot of that money that was in the city school system kind of dropped away. So from that time forward, we were really fundraising as much for our work in the public schools as we were for the professional dance work. But we were able to sustain relationships notwithstanding those challenges. And we work with our school partners to write grants, to reach out, whether it's through the Department of Education's funding resources, through the city, the Department of Cultural Affairs, through City Council, finding lots of creative ways to keep the programs going in schools. And actually, one of our flagship schools in the Bronx, PS 78, we started working with in 2007, and we've been consistently providing dance programs to that school now for 15 years. Yeah. So it's really exciting to be able to see how the programs build over time. I mean, the young people we were teaching are now like in college or off into the world or in jobs. It's amazing to see how they've grown.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what kind of turnaround that looks like, right? Do they come back? Do they also become a contribution to Notes in Motion? And also, most importantly, like, what did you do during the pandemic?
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I'm going, well, you're really dedicated, definitely committed. It's one of those things where you just basically have committed yourself to the next generation, which is a beautiful and admirable thing, despite whether being a DOE vendor and or having the funding at the same caliber in which you were getting it many years ago, you're still servicing in that manner. So I just wonder, oh my gosh, what did you do during the pandemic?
For sure. I mean, when the schools closed, obviously we were no longer in the schools. And at that time, back in 1920 school year, we had 15 programs going in our schools. A lot of them were starting to wrap because we tend to, at least then we were doing a lot of programs. We were trying to wrap them before testing would happen in the spring for our elementary schools, but we still had about 7 or 8 programs that were really busy. So we, like everyone else, we pivoted to online. And we turned all of our programs virtual. And that's how we finished out that school year. And then the following year, 2021, when things were so crazy in the city schools, where there was, such low attendance, so many students were hybrid, we did a whole range of creative offerings. We did a handful of remote programs. We did some asynchronous programs. We did some Zoom classes. We also had some classes where our teacher was there, the students were on Zoom. We had classes where our teacher was on Zoom, the students were in the room. We had some teachers come and be in the room with the students. It was everything, all mixed up.
I know it became a technical dance.
Yeah, it was quite, but what's amazing is young people they've adapted to this better than all of us. So they're like, yeah, we'll dance in a box, we'll stare at a screen, I mean, and the first thing we teach in all our dance classes is spatial awareness. So when you're working in front of a screen at home, I mean, one of the things we had to start with talking to our teaching artists about is working with them on Zoom. It's like, you're going to see all into these students' homes. You're going to go into their home environment. We're not going to know what we're walking into all over the neighborhoods that we serve around New York City. So that was something, and trying to find that way of, if the student disappears off the camera, we don't know what's going on. Maybe there's a sibling that needed their attention in the other room,
Right.
There was a whole range of things. But first and foremost, what we were able to do was just to sustain relationships. But then last summer, that's when things really started pivoting for us, because I think everyone has realized through this pandemic that the arts are not just extra.
Right.
That the arts are actually what makes our lives worth living, that we bring people together, that gives us a sense of hope and promise and joy in our lives. And thankfully, the city and the state have put some dollars behind that. Last summer, the Department of Arts and Special Projects launched this grant for cultural arts partners to bring arts programs to summer rising sites around the city.
Oh, nice. So you're going to have some programs again. Well, you did the whole school year, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't want to run out of time without you at least sharing with us what that was like for you to be in person this school year.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, so then this year, I was saying 2021, we did like a whole hybrid, and then 21, 22, this current year, after this really robust summer rising, this year we were in 70 schools, 70. So we suddenly, everyone was calling us, our phone was ringing off the hook, and all the schools were like, we're back. We want the kids moving their bodies. We want them working together. We want them having joy. And the city was encouraging school leaders to do this. So we were everywhere. We were in the Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, all over the city. We had about 60 teaching artists. It was also exciting to employ that many artists again. After so many people lost so much work, we were sending people out 3, 4, 5 days a week to work with the students. Across the board, I have to say, it was just joyful. Gratitude and joy is what we felt being back in the school, giving them an opportunity to de-stress. I mean, there was so much, trauma that everyone's gone through.
Right. We're all still navigating through it. We're all still navigating through it.
All navigating it. So I think the dance is a way of promoting healing. So by coming in and dancing this year in person, that's what we did the most. We tried to heal the communities.
Well, I'm sure it's helping tremendously. It's just the energy exchange alone is really where we're at after being isolated from each other for almost 3 years. So before we go, because this is actually my last question, and they're asking me to rap because I can dance with you all. But in conclusion, right, based on completing a school year, an entire school year in person, how did you conclude, right? In your presentation, you said you expanded into 70 schools. That's a lot to manage, especially if the programs are happening simultaneously.
Yeah, so we have about 60 different teachers. So a handful of our teachers are teaching at multiple sites. And all of our programs, we try to culminate in some sort of performance, because dance is a performance art form. And we really think performances are what bring people together, really solidifies the experience. But we work with each school to look at what's realistic for that community. So we don't have a cookie cutter way of doing it. For some schools, it was a video share. Sometimes it was a Zoom call. We did a lot of outdoor events. That was really fun. The last few weeks we were in schoolyards. We did a big thing on a basketball court a couple of days ago. We had about 200 parents show up outside. They brought lawn chairs. That was great. So a whole range of ways of celebrating the work, but we try to give the children a chance to get up on stage and celebrate and have something to share, whether it's there's a choreographed piece or they're sharing an improv. There's always some sort of performance component to every program.
Well, it's wonderful. And we are out of time, but I want people to know where they can go to obtain more information should they want to be a participant in the Summer Rise program, right? Because you're going to do the summer programs as well. Yeah, this summer we're going to be back in a handful of schools providing dance in the schools. So Notes in Motion goes directly into schools. So if you want to bring Notes in Motion to your community, the first thing you want to do is reach out to your school leaders and let them know, hey, I saw Notes in Motion. They look really great. Let's reach out. You can find us on our website, notesinmotion.org. We have an Instagram, Notes in Motion Dance, a Facebook page, Notes in Motion Dance. Feel free to check out. There's lots of amazing videos and testimonials on there. Watching children dance. We do a whole variety of dance styles. So you'll see some modern dance, some jazz, some African, some Latin dance, a little bit of everything, and really just celebrating all of the creativity of New York City. Wonderful. Woo! It excites me. It excites me. I'm into the arts myself as an artist and an arts advocate. Thank you for being with us. Amanda Selwyn, Notes in Motion Artistic and Executive Director. And once again, for more information, you can visit notesinmotion.org. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hear about a tasty vegan option for your 4th of July celebration. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guest is a Bronx native vegan chef and nutrition coach who from a young age had a love for cooking since the pandemic and watching her mother deal with thyroid complications. She's integrated her love for cooking with health advocacy and wellness and turned it into a business. And well, creating Chris the Bronx Vegan, a page dedicated to food awareness resources, to health food choices, and nutrition education with services including meal prep, nutrition consultations, and catering for events. She's here to share more. Please welcome vegan chef, nutrition coach, and Chris the Bronx Vegan creator, Kristen Loudermilk. Hello.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here with us, and thanks for your transparency in sharing your journey regarding, I guess, the motivation behind just making it your business, right? And more importantly, bringing it back to the Bronx, because what I didn't mention is your extensive travels, your ability to speak French, and your interpretation skills. And please, you elaborate further, but I did want to just open up with that so that there's this understanding of what that means to come back full circle and pass it forward.
Yeah, it's really important to me, and it's the reason why I created Chris the Bronx Vegan. Primarily, I created it in the Bronx. In the pandemic, and I came back home after all my travels and after work, and I took off from work for a year and a half. So I was not flying as a flight attendant. And so I came home, and just as a vegan, I was looking for options for food to eat, and then also just resources. And I saw, in comparison to the places that I have been, that those resources whether it be restaurants or just food education was not there. Regardless of my mom's thyroid condition, I just also saw just a lack there. A lot of my neighbors were, you know, lacking the food education. My boyfriend, his mother passed from a contraindication from her blood pressure medicine and her diabetes medicine. And for me, that hit home. And you know, taking a cocktail of pills, and I'm just like, I'm meeting so many families that are just, you know, instead of having like food-based options, healing options, they're having just more of medications and pills. And so it was very discouraging for me. And it was also motivating as well to create Chris the Bronx Vegan and provide that platform and that resource for families to have to just go back to and say, okay, this is someone we know, she's from the Bronx, I'm native to that area. And this is something that, you know, I'm going through with my boyfriend's family, for example, and my mother, and having the lack thereof of options. So that's why I created it, and I wanted to bring it back home. I had to.
So I because you tapped into this topic, because it is something that I think we do need to address more and more within the community, right? There's this sense of just being okay with prescriptions and or being diagnosed. And when you mentioned the cocktail prescriptions, it's like this combination. And when in fact, those prescriptions are just sustaining, they're not really healing, right?
Right.
So based on your development and catering, let's say specifically to your mom and her thyroid condition, what kind of changes have you seen having altered her diet?
I've seen, honestly, more curiosity, which I feel like is a step in the right direction. And just to address the point with prescriptions, I'm not completely against them, because Western medicine has its role, right? Here, our medical system is great for emergent situations. But what I address is like the preventative side. So I'm not advising anyone to stop taking their medicines, because I'm not, for example, in the hospital as that specific doctor.
Right.
But
no,
providing,
thank you for clarifying
right.
that. And I wasn't really alluding to that, but
Okay.
thank you for just making sure we put that disclaimer there.
Right. No, it's totally fine. But I always say that. And for my mom, I saw just the curiosity. Like, I give her advice on foods to try, because my mom is also very picky. I love her, but she's very like, I don't like that. So I try to incorporate things that she'll like. And she's just, she'll pick and she'll be curious, and then she'll say, oh, this is different. And most, if not all times, the foods that I suggest are health supportive for her. So say, for example,
and what kind of foods are we talking about?
I'm talking like sea kelp. I'm talking like seaweed chips. I'm talking about like things that are non-cruciferous vegetables. So no broccoli, no cauliflower that can agitate the thyroid. Things with high amounts of iodine in them. And my mom does eat meat. So like I do tell her, like, you can eat salmon, make sure, you know, you're eating walnuts, get your omega-3 6s. Those are important. So those are the things that I suggest to her, and just also having a high fiber diet. So, you know, everything can work in accordance.
So based on what you just shared with us, right, is another thing to be taken into consideration, where people jump to becoming vegans, and some because it's a trend. I mean, obviously most because of health benefits. However, there's this research factor that comes into play, which sounds to me like you've done extensive, in where there's certain things that might work for some people and certain things that might not work for others.
Correct. That's, I mean, what I say on to my clients and also on my platform is that every body is different. And that means every singular body is different. So while veganism, I do believe myself, because I am vegan, it can work for everyone if done intentionally and correctly. But I'm not here to convert you to veganism. I am here to tell you the benefits of veganism, and then therefore help you transition into that side. Like I said, I believe it's the way, but you really have to find your own, you know, your own path with it.
And so since we're on the topic of veganism, and 4th of July is right around the corner because actually, it's the 1st of July today.
Right.
Let's talk about what could be some vegan alternatives, maybe on the grill, maybe not. That's easy and simple and supplementary from without having to compromise taste.
Right. I think jackfruit is a great option. And just to make it very simple, it resembles pulled pork or it has that meaty texture. And you can honestly, and like just put some barbecue sauce on there and you can turn it into, I don't know, like a pulled pork sandwich or like a sloppy joe, something that's very like hamburger style, and just move forward with there and you won't compromise taste. It will generally be a little bit of a different texture because obviously it's not meat, but it will have a meat-like texture.
And jackfruit, you can get that anywhere?
Jackfruit, I've found it in Wegmans. I've found it in Stop and Shop. I've found it in Fairway. I've found it in Whole Foods. So pretty much anywhere. They'll come in different forms. The fresh form you may find in Caribbean markets, which we have all over the Bronx. So it's available. It's available.
Awesome. How about something sweet?
Ooh, okay. So what I like to do, I like my fruit kind of savory and sweet. So you can make watermelon steaks. I love watermelon in the summertime because it's full of water. It's hydrating. It's just refreshing. It just tastes amazing. Throw it on the grill. You can put some paprika on there, some maple syrup on there, some salt, and really like grill it and then try it out. I've really been getting some people on some sweet and savory things, pineapple as well, and mango. And it works. It works really well. Works really well on the grill.
Good. That sounds good. I like that. I like that. So you just put it on the grill, or season it with paprika, and put it on a stick, like like you're making
like a shish kebab, like
right,
yeah.
Right, like a shish kebab. And then what else? You said something else though.
Oh, what else did I say? You can use maple syrup. Oh, liquid smoke is also very good for that as well. Liquid smoke is awesome.
That sounds really good. And so anyway, that was just a little idea for you guys to consider. I mean, just add it, like just try something different. That's what life is about. And I wanted to make sure that before we go, we just share with everyone the fact that you're offering this plan in the fall, and the fact that you mentioned that really everything in life is about pacing and choice, right? And so I really appreciate you saying, I'm not trying to convert everybody into becoming a vegan. However, I am going to continue educating in the process, and it's for everyone to consider and to move at their own pace, which is obviously what you're doing with your mom, working with her, working with your significant other's parents. And so let's talk about this fall plan that you're launching for a vegan lifestyle.
Okay, so how I reach my audience is through meal prep, to make it more of like a practical application of recipes and how do I do this. So I created the course as something that was self-paced, for people to learn about meal prep, and not just meal prep, but learn about, okay, what am I putting on my plate? Am I putting food intentionally into my body? And how can I do this while being a busy professional? And that could mean being a 9-to-5er, or that could mean being, I have my own business. And in some way, shape, or form, we need our fuel. And we also need our intentional healing, which is also, I believe, through food.
Right.
And so that's, I created it for people to kind of get a hold on their food life. And also to get rid of the shame and the overwhelm associated with just food in general. So that, if you have your meal prepped and, you have a snack outside of your meal prep, that's okay. So I teach about that, and then also just about that grace there as well. Because when you have a plan, you can stick to it. And when you stick to it, you can also digress because you have that foundation.
Right.
So I will be launching that this fall. And the registration for it will be open pretty soon. I'm just getting a lot of things together for that night, so I can have all the resources and the course together for everyone.
And so
but
they
I'm really excited.
Sign up. They can follow you on Instagram to learn further as you're developing it and prepping to launch it.
Yes. At Chris the Bronx Vegan on Instagram. Just follow me and follow me along on this journey. We'll be launching in the fall.
Well, we appreciate you bringing it here to our viewers. I really appreciate everything you shared with us. That's Kristen
you.
Loudermilk giving us some food consciousness. Okay, because that's what this is all about.
That's right.
Food for thought. All right.
Right.
So once again, vegan chef, nutrition coach, and the Bronx vegan creator, Kristen Loudermilk. And for more information on the fall launch and just to learn some wonderful ideas, some food ideas, you can check her out on Instagram at Chris the Bronx Vegan. All right, stay tuned because Bobby C's weekly sports roundup is coming up next.
Let's kick things off with our weekly Judge Report. Aaron Judge hit another home run last Sunday, his 28th of the Major League Baseball season. It was a 3-run shot in the bottom of the 10th at Yankee Stadium, and it beat the Houston Astros 6-3 to end a crackling 4-game series between the two clubs. It was the 10th walk-off win of the year for the Bronx Bombers. The Yankee star agreed to a $19 million contract for this season and entered the week on pace for 62 dingers. That mark would eclipse the team record set by the late Roger Maris in 1961. Judge smashes his way to claiming the 5th spot here on the front end of 5-on-5. His club, meantime, the Yankees, come in here at number 4. The Pinstripers came out of Sunday with a 53-20 record, the best in Major League Baseball, 11 games ahead of their other rival, the Boston Red Sox, in the American League East. The weekend wasn't without some heartache and turmoil, at least when it comes to baseball standards. 3 Astros pitchers had combined to no-hit the Yankees on Saturday, and then the Yankees were hitless into the 7th inning on Sunday before they came all the way back the way that they have so many times this season so far, and so much of that has been built around Aaron Judge. He once hit 52 home runs as a rookie and is now on pace to hit more in 2022. A rise and a fall here in the Bronx. More on that in just a moment. In at number 3 on the NBA hardwood, the Orange and Blue were busy on draft night. Just not the kind of busy Knicks fans were hoping for, although the NBA drafts really haven't been a thing for the Knicks over the years. The franchise made a flurry of moves to build draft capital with the hopes of landing a star like Dallas's Jalen Brunson. Last Thursday night was not so straightforward for the Knicks, though. They were the busiest team, pulling off not 1, not 2, but 3 separate trades that had players flying all over the NBA. The capper saw the Knicks flip the number 13 pick and Bronx native Kemba Walker to the heart right there, folks, to Detroit. In return, the Knicks got a 2025 first-rounder via Milwaukee. That's the pick that the Pistons previously acquired in the Jeremy Grant trade earlier in the week. Sad to see Kemba go, but his injuries and the Knicks' youth-inspired direction has led us here. After all the wheeling and dealing, the Knicks closed the night with 3 future first-round picks and some extra cap space. It's no secret that they're going to use that money to try and sign Brunson in free agency, the playmaking guard the Knicks would rather have than Kemba at this point in their careers. They recently hired his dad, former Knick Rick Brunson, as an assistant coach, and now have enough cap space to make a competitive offer to his son. There's no guarantee that they get him, but they have a much better chance now than they did before the NBA draft. In the 2 spot, more New York City news on playmaking guards in basketball. This one comes courtesy of the WNBA, where New York Liberty guard Sabrina Ionescu has been selected to play in the 2022 WNBA All-Star Game on July 10th in Chicago. The franchise's first ever number 1 overall draftee in 2020 will start in her debut All-Star appearance. After averaging 16.7 points, that's 11th in the league, 6.1 assists, 4th in the WNBA, and 6.4 rebounds, that's 20th in the league, while shooting 44.1% from the field. She's a shooting star indeed. And at number 1, a Bronx star is remembered, a trailblazer, Army veteran, boxing commissioner, and community advocate, Luis E. Rios was a neighborhood legend in the BX. He made a difference in the sports world and in the lives of thousands of people here in the borough. A special street renaming was held last week to honor his legacy. Now, when you look up on the corner of Prospect Avenue and East 149th Street in the Mont Haven section of the Bronx, you will see Rios' name. He was the former commissioner of the New York State Athletic Commission. Everyone from boxing greats to city commissioners say Rios inspired them. To the back end of 5 on 5, we go for an inspiring on this date in Bronx sports history. We take you back to July 1st, 2004 for the game of that year here in the Bronx. The Yankees beat the Red Sox 5-4 in 13 innings. Let's flash back. The score is tied 3-3 after 9 innings, and both teams have to wiggle their way out of jams to keep it that way. In the 12th, the Red Sox place runners on second and third with 2 outs when Trot Nixon lifts a fly ball to shallow left field. And there, of course, is Yankees captain Derek Jeter. He races out and catches the ball before diving headfirst into the stands and bloodying his face, forcing him to leave that rivalry game. In the top of the 13th inning, Manny Ramirez homers to give the Red Sox the lead, but the Yankees stage a 2-out rally in the bottom half of that inning, perhaps fueled by that dynamic play of their star shortstop. Ruben Sierra singles, then comes around to score Miguel Cairo's game-tying RBI double. Pinch hitter John Flaherty, the last man off the Yankees bench, follows with a game-winning single to score Cairo, all on this date in Bronx sports history. And fittingly, we'll stick with the captain here in at the 2 spot. Jeets joined some other Bronx stars in Desus and Mero. In one of the duo's most long-awaited interviews, they spoke to Jeter to discuss his iconic plays and his upcoming new documentary, The Captain. Jeter continues his media tour ahead of the upcoming ESPN doc. At 3, as we look ahead ourselves, NYCFC will host Atlanta United this Sunday at 5 p.m. at Yankee Stadium. The team is hoping for a better result than last Sunday. That's when the Union secured a statement victory by defeating NYCFC 2-1. For the second time this season and first at Subaru Park, Jim Curtin's team defeated the 2021 MLS champion New York City FC Football Club, the squad responsible for their elimination from last year's playoffs. In the 4 spot, the Yankees will be in Cleveland this weekend, and in at number 5 in the 5 spot, the first-place Mets continue their homestand with Texas this weekend in Flushing. As for our Bronx Athlete of the Week, we'll give the nod to a former star returning to the BX to mentor young athletes. Ben Gordon was back at Hoops in the Sun at Orchard Beach last weekend, showing youngsters the art of how to shoot a basketball. Gordon previously sponsored a team in hits after his standout NBA career. The local product went from starring at Mount Vernon High School to UConn, and then, of course, to the association. In the league, he had his finest seasons with the Chicago Bulls and produced some of his best games at MSG against the Knickerbockers, hence the nickname Madison Square Gordon. Ben wasn't the only former NBAer out last weekend at the beach. Former Knicks big man Michael Sweetney also took in the action. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list to pay respects to a young hooper that once starred in the Bronx. A college basketball star home for summer break was killed by a stray bullet, and 8 people were wounded when a shooting erupted at a Harlem Raptors Father's Day cookout. Darius Lee, a senior at Houston Baptist University in Texas, was killed in the process. The 21-year-old grew up in Harlem but attended St. Raymond High School for Boys in the Bronx, where his hoops career took off. What an absolutely sad story here in the Bronx. Less guns, more basketball. Lee played at a community college in New York's Sullivan County before enrolling at Houston Baptist. He was scheduled to graduate this December with a bachelor's degree in sports management. He was recently named the university's Male Student Athlete of the Year. He led the team in scoring and rebounding last season and finished 6th in the nation in steals per game, earning a second-team All-Southland Conference selection. Rest in peace, Darius. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. Our last guest is a Grammy Award-winning trumpeter and composer, inspired to pursue music as a career by his father, drummer Roberto Rodriguez. And Michael's musical pursuit has led him to perform with jazz icons such as Chick Corea, Kenny Barron, Charlie Hayden, Quincy Jones, and Eddie Palmieri. That's just to name a few. And since Michael's music has been recorded onto multiple Grammy and Latin Grammy award-winning albums, as well as his own album being a Latin Jazz Grammy nominated under his record label, Rod Bros Music, with his brother, Robert Rodriguez. And joining us now to share more of his fantastical musical journey, please welcome Grammy Award-winning trumpeter and composer, Michael Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rhina. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, we are so honored to have you. Thank you for taking the time.
Of course.
Yes, no, I'm always excited when we were able to get you guys like at the crack of dawn, you know. We'll start there. And I mean, even though we're semi, pre-recording hand, but also the fact that you're not on tour, you're not traveling extensively at this particular moment. So we're always excited when we can grab you for just a few minutes just to share a little bit of everything that you've accomplished. I mean, it's really impressive. Super.
Thank you.
Here's the thing. In researching your work and recognizing that you have worked with, aside from all these legendary icons, you've worked on other people's projects, and then you have your own label, and then you have your own projects, and then you're a composer. And so it became questionable to me of like, how are you able to like remain with the same integrity, hopping into so many different areas? Like, how do you do that? How do you choose what you're going to work on?
Well, it's a great question. I think at first it was out of necessity to be able to wear different hats, so to speak, musical hats, to in order to maintain a work, to be active. And I think early on, it was instilled in me to learn how to do that. Be able to play for example, in a horn section, and play, in tune and all that. Learn that culture of playing in a horn section, and then also being able to be an artist, work on your art, and express yourself. And I mean, my love has always been to play creative music, jazz, and the jazz genre, mostly, and the Latin jazz as well. And just to be like, follow that lineage of like the Dizzy Gillespie and the Clifford Brown or Freddie Hubbards and the Chapotin, and all up in Chocolate, Arturo Sandoval, just follow that lineage, and have both worlds, juggle both worlds, the Latin world and the jazz world. Being that I was born in Queens, New York, and growing up, I grew up down in South Florida, in Miami, as a young kid. So I had both. I feel like I grew up with both of the best of the both worlds there. My father's a musician, and so he had records of Palmieri and Irakere, and also McCoy Tyner and Michael Brecker. He had all this wonderful music at home that we grew up listening to. And so it was instilled.
Played with them now? Oh my gosh.
That for me, I know it's like living a dream for me. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I mean, for me, it's just truly, I'm very fortunate to have been able to play with these great artists that I grew up listening to.
Oh my God.
Really incredible.
Listening to you is so admirable, because how many Grammys are you in now? I mean, because you have your own Grammy, and then you're on Grammy Award-winning albums. So like, and you're like,
it's really, it's really, I have to pinch myself sometimes to really, I started, with Charlie Hayden. He basically put me on the map when I was 24 years old. Charlie, a great bassist and composer, and he was part of the whole free jazz movement in the 60s, and with Ornette Coleman. And so for me, getting that call to play with him was like, wow, it was a dream come true. And then to be able to work with him for 11 years, travel and tour and record right up until his passing, it was like, wow. And I being able to call him as a friend, was really incredible. So I definitely always pay homage to him, and forever indebted, grateful. I mean, grateful for his involvement in my development
That's
as an
awesome.
artist. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing a little bit of
Oh,
your history
sure.
with him.
Nice.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And again, just in your storytelling and in the way you're sharing a little bit of your accomplishments, which is, quite frankly speaking, he's so humble, but there's so much on his plate, like in his bio, that there's no way I can introduce all of it.
Oh.
So we're doing the best as we can to fit in as much as we can in this short period of time. And we are going to get a taste of his music after this. But I really wanted this segment to be about whatever it is that you wanted to talk about. Perhaps what the reopening looked like for you, and who you're working with, and what kind of projects you're working on.
Sure. Well, obviously during the pandemic, everything shut down. Tours were canceled. There was a big tour with Chick Corea that was canceled, and then unfortunately he passed away later on in the 2020, and so or 2021 rather, and let's see. It's lucky for me, things started to come back. I also do some teaching at the university level at NYU, and also in San Francisco Conservatory of Music. So that that was kind of helpful as well. But performances started coming back, thankfully. Venues started to open up, tours started crawling back slowly but surely.
I know, but it's such a big deal, right?
Oh,
to be in
indeed.
the
I'll never
audience,
ever.
to be in the actual presence of your fellow musicians, because I mean, y'all were getting creative, doing all kinds of stuff virtually.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, I was involved in a lot of virtual recordings, and I had to get versed in home studio stuff, which I've never had to do before. But I
So look at
immediately
that, you became an engineer.
like I was like, what is this? What am I doing? And but yeah, that was helpful as well, to stay active recording it from home, which was nice.
We thank you for making sure you stop on by and have some fun with us, everyone.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Woo! Everyone, a Grammy Award-winning trumpeter and composer, Michael Rodriguez.
Thank you very much.
Being here with us. You guys don't go anywhere, because when we return, Michael is going to perform for us. You don't want to miss. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. Here now to perform with the late master Chick Corea at the Montreux. Let's give it up for Michael Rodriguez. Michael Rodriguez, and Michael's album Pathways is available on all streaming platforms. For more information, you can visit MikeRodriguezMusic.com. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast tonight and 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor, and be sure to have a happy and safe Independence Day weekend. Adios.